All right, everybody. Let's see what we go through today. Peace to God. I have had a very long week with these children in my many schools, and my voice is nearly gone. It's nearly gone. Um, some schools I had new classes, very good. Some of the old classes, not so good. Just a very verbal week. So my voice is just nearly gone. I'm gonna try to build as best as I can. I'll be here for at least an hour, okay? I really need to rest my voice. I still have to do this again tomorrow. So, but there was one thing I wanted to add on about this concept, right? Of all of the things. I hear this a lot though. Like two things I got a lot last year from people that have this knowledge is it's better that you don't do anything at all. I got that. Um, aside from and I guess the second thing is my the blatant racism that I got from my own nation, supposedly my own nation, right? Because all the gods, all the elders here build, I don't get none of that. But one thing I don't think was made clear, and what I think is the most important thing is that what is this thing that we have now where you're right and exact if you just stay and don't do anything? That used to be frozen. You're not right and exact though if you decide, well, I'm not going to be right and exact, so I'm not even going to try, or I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, things like that. And I'm not talking about like, let's say now, like with these people last week, I was mentioning, I made my points clear, and if people want to debate scholarly, intelligently, respectfully, then we can do that. If they don't, then it's already over, right? That's one thing. But to not even try when, if that's my call, if that's my work, I have to speak to it. You know what I'm saying? I hear that, Infinite Mind. Peace of God. Matt, peace. Matt, you're the one that gave me that long email. I appreciate that. I'm behind in a lot of emails, so there's a couple of emails I have to answer to. That will eventually, okay? But all right. See, peace of the God, King. Come on, peace, God. I don't know if you saw the bill that I had last week, God, but it was about all the stuff that was going on with the hip origins and things like that. And if I'm qualified to speak on it, I'm gonna speak to it. But when is someone qualified? When does somebody show and prove? We could always find the point to be wrong about things and not show and prove. But to go back to that argument, though, I'm not going to go into it in any kind of detail today because I already did that. And if somebody really didn't know why or what the origins of the black diaspora, black, brown, English, Spanish, Caribbean, black American, all of that made hip hop culture, and people just conflate it or not conflate, reduce it to just rap, then we have problems. But my issue here with the knowledge of self, besides people showing their colors, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. People I supported, people I bought their work from. I always wondered why they never bought one of my things. You know what I mean? Considering that my work triples the amount of workload anybody else has. You can't miss your chance to support I got stuff out there all the time. But that's neither here nor there. When it deals with the knowledge of self, besides the racism, besides the weakness of dealing with being trapped in the God degree in the 1 to 14 and just separating, besides people giving me pleas like, yo, we're supposed to be all one and the same, we was brothers, why they tell me that we are not the same. They tell you we were brothers for like 20 years, but we are not the same. Yeah, I got a funny way of brotherhood. And still, one of the most important scholarly things that can carry over is this history of Black scholarship that has become sloppy, and I spoke about it for a long time. We are obsessed with first, and then we quit the scholarship. Who's first? First samurai, first martial art, first, I don't know, pyramid, first this, first that. And nobody could tell me anything how first goes in the entire timeline to now, like if it doesn't matter. It disrespects the history and the connections between original peoples and how original peoples, for example, gathered different phenotypes, how they went to different parts of the world, how we may say these people started this, but I get excuses like that Black first scholarship, pseudo scholarship, because it's so incomplete. It tells us nothing of the story. History, story is the most important part. We learn about martial art. Brothers be like, oh, well, first martial arts were in Africa and this and like that. And they show me like petroglyphs and things like that. The Chinese didn't make it up. And I'm like, they're creators of this martial art. The truth is that everybody was going to have to develop some kind of fighting art. The stuff that they preserved and stuff that they innovated, you can't just reduce it and dismiss. And we have this dismiss thing of like, oh, he's the first one there. And he did it. So I actually got into, and there's a scholarly issue, getting to debates about culture, a life of a people, and a way that people interact artistically, musically, the way, as far as the way they dance, the way they do things. And they give me one guy made this up, one guy made that up. And I'm going to tell you why that's important with the 5%, because we were able to reduce how this nation started by one individual, Allah the Father. And we try to carry that. I see people try to carry that over into every field of operation in all life things. You know what I mean? It doesn't carry over to everything. Not every single thing was invented by one person and one person alone. If you study science, though, you realize that most of the things that are theories today, they're sparked by individuals, and the schools throughout all countries and nations, whenever they have innovators, they reduce it to one individual because it sets up a nationalism that, look, this guy is from our nation and he made up this, he made up that. It's all a nationalistic ploy, but that's not how most things that are innovated in society are built. They're built piece by piece. I forgot, there was a book I was reading, and it was really, I'm going to tell you, because I finished it last year. My only problem with the book, and this is a good problem. If there was a problem, this would be a good problem. But the problem in the book was that it was too short. But there was a book I was reading about inventions of major things, like major inventions of society. Just give me a moment to find this, because if anybody would like this book, you can email me and tell me. And again, I'm behind on my emails, so you can always forward them back to the top of the list, or wait. But, I never advocate people waiting for that mystery, God. And that includes me. Let's see. This is a good book. Okay. How We Got to Now. 6 Innovations That Make the Modern World. Very, very good book. Let me search for it. I'm going to search for it to it in my library so I can tell you what the 6 inventions are. Let's see. Okay. I must have wrote about it. All right, let me go to the index. Yeah, the inventions were glass, cold, right? Refrigeration, air conditioning, sound, the recording of sound, cleanliness, the idea of cleaning things, that in those innovations, and time, clocks and things. And it was one of the chapters. I think it was the chapter of glass. It was talking about the cold. How it really wasn't one person that really innovated it, though. It was many people adding on. And we're so used to reducing everything to one thing, we forget that most things, so many things, if not most, are invented by piece people adding things on. And they all deserve credit if there's blatant signature. And I think when I say signature in these posts and everything, they don't know what I mean. Signature, significant add-ons. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, reduce it emotionally, King. Yeah, they're either jealous or bigots or both. I think a lot of people falling for the nonsense based on big divisiveness or a big embarrassment and make people like me or us appear to be apologists. I had one person who said he was my brother send me a video, and all I saw, and I put it on, and it was live, so it wasn't finished yet. It was a YouTube video. It wasn't finished yet. It was broadcasting for the first time. And I'm listening just a little bit. I'm just like, I save it. I'm gonna go through it later. But I don't really respect any of the sources that he's sharing with me because, he believes in quacks, like literally science quacks and, ridiculous stuff. You know what I mean? And I mentioned some of this last week. You know what I mean? They're not from Africa. They're Olmecs. But the Olmecs are from Africa. They're wearing Egyptian headdresses, like leather helmets from Kemet. It's funny. Just how people just want to hear what they want to hear just so they could say, if it's too hard to be a 5%er and say, listen, I'm going to be out in the society, but my mind is going to be outside of it. I can't think the way the society thinks. And that's too hard for you. Just say you're a damn Christian and do what you're going to do. Like, don't figure out reasons why it was all wrong. And all you give me is emotional pleas, though, If I wasn't in this nation and I said I'm not going to be in this nation because Black Americans, they don't treat me good, then I wouldn't be in this nation. Because there's many Black Americans that don't treat me good. And then on the other hand, if I go, I'm in this nation because Black Americans treat me good, then I'd be in this nation because Black Americans treat me wonderfully too. It's not one way or the other. And people that go one way or the other, they really are really reducing their experience to one side of the reality. One side of the reality. But this scholarship of first is so babyish. And a lot of that is amplified by this knowledge because people look at it, read it without good reading comprehension to go deeper, more profound. And yes, we're the original man, but how did we originally do all this? You know what I'm saying? How did we do all this? What steps were taken? How did the original people do these different things? What specific things did migrating original people, as they developed their different phenotypes in India, in parts of Asia, that become what we call Mongolian, right? those that stayed the Africoid, right? How did they develop their societies and add on originally, uniquely? This has always been my this has always been my what's the word here? I have a word in my head. I don't know if it's correct. This has always been my proposition that the Egyptian mystery school system, right, of Kemet, it's called the Egyptian mystery school system, but it was really Kemet, was really working to unite the realities of the original people. And I have been making this claim as one that merits the research to test it out, right, to see if it is true. And hip hop is such a great example because somebody says, oh, well, one guy made up MCing, but he didn't. He didn't. There were too many that did so many other things that make it significant. And it doesn't give credit to the creators of actual song structure. So when we do stuff like this, we miss innovators, we miss creators, right? We miss the story of how communities build. Is important. Peace to the God, Malika. I didn't even have time to properly text you back. You know? And when we build like this, I see 5%ers try to tell me stuff, and I tell them, listen, I don't bear witness that the elements were all made each one by 4 guys. It's not Voltron. Culture is not like Voltron. You know, one guy isn't the arm, the leg, the arm, the leg, and and then it works that way. And the special reality of what we live here as 5%ers, where Allah the Father ignited this so distinctly, is not a commonality. It's not. It is not a commonality. Oh, there's my little girl Alma using her mom's. Have you noticed the kids I teach, they're not always as well behaved. They're not as well behaved as you. And so Poppy's voice is not good right now. It's very hoarse, you know? Very good point, Andre. Very good point, Malik. Very great point, Infinite Mind. I agree with all this. You know? But definitely, you know? What's important is that we learn how to get a full story. This whole thing of like, we're the fathers of civilization. And look at this. After people were okay with finding that out, all the scholarship just collapsed. You know why? Because these scholarship books that are written needed people of the laymen, not those in the university, not the professors, the laymen, regular people, intelligent people like you and I, students, interested, people that read and are intelligent, to also buy these books, but they didn't care anymore. It's not going to fly off the shelf anymore. We know we're first, right? And so what happens is you only care about first, though. So now you don't care about the connections of what is really also had to be first. In other words, when we say had to be first, black, brown, yellow, the original shades have to be. The original man is made up of the black and brown germ, not the black germ. It is the black and the brown germ that makes the original. So all the shades were always going to be. We're really relegating things by time. And time is a measurement. Oftentimes tripped up as an illusion, but certainly a measurement. So here's the thing. This is what I'm trying to say is like, we miss so many important stories of original people and how we link, how we connect, how we build. And we don't really care about history like we think we do. People just want to have the claim on the first degree in the 1 to 10 and move on from there. No, not the second degree. I want to call them devils. I don't even want to. I want to hate white people. And then I just want to hate everybody else, though. The amount of hatred I've seen is such a weak towards wickedness. Weakness is toward wickedness. Such a weak toward wickedness stance. Because you're too weak to say that God is not just God of who he thinks is his own. God is God of the entire universe, though. And everything in this universe. I was thinking about this. I take a walk from the school I'm at. I'm in a Bronx school on Thursdays. I take a walk to get to the 2 train. Quite a long walk because I'd rather do that than walk 125th. It's too crowded. It's too savage. I'd rather walk through the murky, barren, savage streets than the crowded, savage streets. So I walk P.E.A.C.E. And so, I'm walking through the P.E.A.C.E. streets and I see some kid goes, "It's a raccoon." And I said, "Nah, that's not a raccoon." I saw it was a rat that was this big. It was so big that it was like moving like this, you know? And I was thinking, that's disgusting. Like, why is that even here? And I'm like, without these kind of animals and stuff, we would be even in more muck and garbage and filth and soup and disease. It's crazy, right? It's crazy because they consume a lot of that, right? Just like flies, just like disgusting roaches, all of that. And it's like, God of the universe, though, we're responsible for everything. We're responsible for all of that. Everything. You don't like their reality here? Then why are they here? You've got to figure that out, though, and then deal with the reality. Indeed, God. Tara Babel Mindset. Right? I'm just saying, like, my main thing is we lose scholarship. No one cares about the story, how things develop. Forget about, I mentioned something and they just go, this is scholarship to them. No, that don't mean anything. That's not. I give real, actual documented history of black and brown pre-hip hop mending gang issues, gang reality, real gang history, and the dances, the rock dance, all that, et cetera, right? Now that don't mean anything. So we've developed an inconsistent scholarship. Don't dismiss the real scholarship. You know what I mean? Don't dismiss real scholarship. That real things that I example, and then tell me about the Nicholas brothers in the 30s. The Nicholas brothers were not on TV. I think the Nicholas brothers are the greatest, but they were not regularly on TV. And they moved so fast that you was not watching them that one occasional time. Don't tell me that you was these kids, black, brown, they was watching that and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this boring ass musical." And I'm saying that now, but I appreciate this stuff now and I really enjoy it, you know? Because I've been watching really old films since the 20s, but that's because I was made to appreciate it by my twin brother and my older sister, who also has a degree in film and television. I wasn't watching that. And it wasn't regularly on TV. But none of this matters though. Dismissing something because it doesn't matter. Babyish reasons. Doesn't matter. I get somebody who said he was my brother for years. He sends me, you should do the analysis of this stuff. And they put a poll up in this live video. You know what it says? Who are the worst tethers? The Caribbean tethers or the Latino tethers? This is not race baiting, right? We fell for a lot of things though, and we lose scholarship, we lose critical thinking. Not one person has even come close to disregarding what I say with critical thinking of any kind. I tell them, don't use sound bites. They send me another YouTube video of collected sound bites. So to them, a sound bite is a certain amount of length. But if you take a YouTube video with one sound bite, a different sound bite, a different sound bite. They have no idea about bias though, and irrelevant sources, right? For example, Cuban Link though. Cuban Link is an irrelevant source, a negated source. He hates Fat Joe. They have a bad history. He can't be used. They say, oh, hip hop, I don't, this and that. So let them comment about things where they weren't there either. Historians comment about realities they weren't there for because they collect the proper sources, references, research. They sift through first-hand research and analyze the second-hand research and know the actual difference. I put on this video and I see that poll, and then I see somebody says, well, I think that in the 70s they weren't around. I don't think these Jamaicans were around. Well, they're immigrants though, so when they don't know any language, they don't know any language. Puerto Ricans were already third generation by the time the hip hop is even beginning or even thinking of beginning. They tell me we already had MCing and poetry. We already had MCing, and they named James Brown, or they named, and I say, yeah, that's what people were listening to. Kids in the 70s weren't even reading James Baldwin anymore. And they go, Puerto Ricans didn't know anything. They didn't know English. The New Eurekan Poets cipher, not the cafe, the cipher that leads to the cafe, predates all of that. It even predates, the last poets. So if I wanted to do that, say, oh, well, we had it here. No, you have to show the connections. Show the connections. How does everything connect? Who is connecting them? It's a scholarship. Where's the scholarship? Because if the scholarship is gone, it means that your critical thinking skills are trash. And we said so many times in debates here, people never read what was said. They never read it. And then I'm literally, the first time ever, I'm blocking people that are so-called 5%. I'm saying, you're disrespectful this entire time. Because now it's not even a debate. Where's our scholarship? A lot of this has to do with the Black Books movement and people thinking that one way fits all. But the Black Book movement stopped when people were satisfied with saying, we were before the Caucasian, and I'm okay with that. They don't care about how the Caucasian ruined you. They don't care about how the other original people went their way and suffered in their own unique ways and yet lesser ways in many respects. Why? How? They want to tell me that they're indigenous only to these Americas, but don't know anything about the hundreds of tribes that are here, the hundreds of indigenous Native American tribes. They never even been to a powwow. Pathetic. It really is a distraction to cause trouble amongst the righteous. That's peace, Andre. We were always taught to build roll with different seeds together. Yellow roll with the brown and the black. And any mixed combination like that. This is what we were taught. This is what we were taught. You know? I'm trying to get some of this heat here. Like it's only hits one spot. Right? Oh, this is the spot. This is the spot. You know? But and it's like we're always taught to keep it simple. Keep it simple. And it's always been a moment of discord with many elders that see me teach because I don't keep it simple. I grab you and I lift you up and you will be able to handle this. But people have chose to keep it simple and have the daring to say that they are scholars. The way that they speak, I see people saying, these are 5%ers. Oh, Fat Joe, he's a white man. He's white. Forget that his phenotype is very light, but he has other phenotypical features like his nose and everything that are very, very African. And again, people want to make enemies out of things that they disagree with instead of doing real research. And it's very pitiful. It's very, very, very pitiful. We're supposed to be the learned. This generation now, we're not supposed to be saying we just keep it simple. I'm tired of the keep it simple. I'm tired of people saying boring mathematics is really hard. It doesn't make any sense. You know, and let's keep it simple. Do you realize that our main thing is to teach that man is God? And in this world, that is the most difficult concept to teach. Sorry, but we're already in the boat. We're already in the difficult boat. We are already locked in the most difficult assignment that there is. To teach in an outward society that bears witness to a mystery God, that there is no mystery God. We're already in difficult measures here. We're already undertaking difficult measures just by dealing with that. Where is the educators? Where are the educators, the teachers, the instructors that actually know how to bring people up and actually teach them things that they don't know? Things that they don't know. I see people, I think it's a joke when people tell me, you know, I know this history of hip hop, or I know this history of this because I was there. They're doing what? What impact do you have? Did you become part of the upper echelon that now gets to speak about how it was made and how, because I hear a lot of people tell me it was there and they didn't dominate the period. I'm going to keep it real with you. Let's give it just it's 30-year career I have. But if I give you the 10-year block, the last 10 years, and tell you I was there and I could comment above anyone else about it, is because I dominate the period. People make claims though, but they didn't dominate the period. We just have people making claims though, and that's why it's anecdotal. I see people dismissing reading because this is not the society now. So they don't know what a real case study is. What a real study in embedding sociologically with people to learn their culture and cataloging it. We have to get stronger. We have to get stronger. It's like do we have to dumb down? Do we have to dumb down the way that we're teaching? Right? Continuously dumb down the way that we teach in order to teach it. Anybody have any questions? Like I said, I'm only going to be here an hour. I really need to give my vocals some kind of rest. And yeah, we're starting to get very religious, and I don't like it, you know. And whenever I hear people say stuff, I don't see anybody building. People had issues with me, and they bring up things like, "Oh, they don't bring up. I don't agree with this build. I don't agree with the way you build this and that. I think you said this wrong. It's you wear too much polo, right? Now I can deal with it. The hatred is real from trolls and things like that. But I think it's funny because I feel like some people that are 5%, that claim they're 5%, they think that if they see trolls speaking hatred, they think it's true. And it's funny because I see trolls like, look at the City of God's concert though. Nobody got hell in those comments, but I did. Who represented this nation and unified the concert? That was me. Who got the hell in the comments? Who's actually in hip hop and actually has spoken to all these legends and pioneers? Not them. So much disagreements about how this nation is, though. But I come here and I see the same great elders. I don't see any of my peers that open their mouths big. And the way that I've seen, I said the biggest problem in the future of this nation, and I said this in 2010 onward, is that we don't know how to teach the other original people. We don't know how to relate to their 85ery, if you will. We don't know how to build and understand them. And it's not just the language barrier. It is not just language. It is dismissal of a people to just say it's a language barrier. Right now, Dominicans all speak English. We have a new generation of young kids, and I don't see anybody teaching them. I see me teaching them. I don't see anybody else. I see people finding out about other original peoples so they can claim that they are different from us. They literally use words from the 7th degree and the 114. Said, no, students, we are different. These are quotes. And they tell me that they haven't fallen victim. They literally tell me, we are different, Sunnis. We are not the same. Multiple people with this knowledge. You're not a 5%er anymore. There's really nothing else that I'm in the mood to speak to. I want people to plan their realities. I have a plus lesson on it. But I'm saying that there are people in this nation that they're already corrupt. They got it long enough and they couldn't hold it. And now they want to adapt their compromise, right? And their desire for condescension and the desire for division and exaltation of their own. And the desire to become a crab and to barrel the world and climb up over everyone as the one that deserves the reparations, the one that deserves the most pity, the one who deserves the gold medal for being the most oppressed still. And you can have these damn awards if you want. I want to teach planning. I want to teach us to engage. In fact, the main lesson I am showing this year, I'm behind in my work. My Real of 2024 book is not done. And I am not changing the goals. I am changing the way that I plan toward them. And it'll get done. It'll get done. But we persevere. We strike. But people are doing devilishment. And all I hear is, well, the 5% were wrong. And they can't show and prove it. They can't show and prove that we are all original. They can only show and prove that our socialization is different. Peace, God. Our socialization is different. All of us were socialized differently. We were oppressed differently, and now we're all thrown in this bucket of ghetto. Now, do you build by climbing up and making ladders? Or do you just crab in the barrel it? See, people make that decision. And when people's life decisions are based on emotion, it's just that the way you guys treat. People think, and some people that tell me that I don't understand because I'm not in that. I'm not in that. I'm different. I already heard them doing that to the Africans. And it didn't work. It didn't make much money. It didn't put them in the limelight. It's all hustle. And then they're supposed to act like they're scholars, and I have to justify it. I get asked, why don't you debate? I'm not debating a fool about the earth. I'm not debating someone that denounces the research, who can't disqualify it with counter research. It's very sad. Peace, Father Jah. And you know what, King? I think so. I think, I do take into account that certain people, they might just be jealous of me and then nothing else to do with me. That's right. He wants us to think that we're all different. And then that's what I'm being told. Word for word. One of the greatest gods, Malik, that I ever knew in my entire life was Wise Jamel. And he didn't have children. You know? And no one loved children. No one loved children more than Malik. Excuse me, than Wise Jamel. You know? So Malik don't it's this bullshit. You know? But again, I'm gonna be in for another 15 minutes, okay? I usually would stay here until 8 though, but I gotta give myself a little bit of a break. I'm very intense now, but I need to give my voice a little bit of rest, and I'm pretty sure that for the rest of the night I won't have to speak. Um, you know, um, another thing that I've heard, and I think it's important to address because I always tell people that it's hard. It's easy to be a 5% when you're young. It's harder to be 5% when you're older. And because why do we get rid of traditions that were, I was like, I'm really getting people complaining, these same people complaining that the 5% was wrong because we threw away traditions. And like, nowhere did the Father tell us, none of the firstborn, none of my elders, my enlightened, no, told us to get rid of traditions that were useful to our people. For example, herbal remedies, things like that, ways of dance, ways of musicianship. It didn't tell us to get rid of any of that. It told us to question things, redirect things. The gift giving of Christmas that we take part in, right? We take part in the gift giving. That's where we defiantly appropriate and say, listen, we're not getting rid of something that is positive for the youth. So we make our own decisions. I think these are excuses to be religious. Absolute. And people, I hear more talk about people with my ancestors, this and that. Your ancestors are blobs of nothing. They're thoughts in your head. People don't want to read actual history about what our people have done and how our people intersect and have syncretism. First people to be talking about their ancestors. What ancestors? You're talking about mystery gods. I got people talking to me about Olmec heads. What about the real, actual stories? The real history? People don't want to be 5%ers. They want to trade. They want to trade the real work for the imagery. The imagery. The imagery of saying, I deal with my ancestors. No. You deal with mystery. You are praying to earlier versions of you. And then justify that everything you do is like, well, the spirit of my ancestors is in me. I did some dumb shit. The spirit of my ancestors. No, you are suffering from weak genetics. Because every moment and every day, we are epigenetically supposed to be altering our gene in a more positive way. I don't want to hear all that shit about ancestors. People want to tell me they're not from Africa no more. They tell me they're not from Africa, but then they go, Puerto Ricans don't have culture because all their musics like bomba and plena are just African. It's the most babyish, and it's a condescending statement, passive aggressive bullshit. Guys, everything that is done in the islands, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, all the African forms, rumba, all of that, they are not the same as they were in Africa. They mix and they blend the indigenous ways of making music as well as all of the appropriate European forms. Just like the basic structure of song in the blues, research it, and the basic solid structure in jazz is European. Because African song structure has almost no real structure. It is nearly all improvised, and there is no structure. Jazz has a B-B-A-A structure in its beginning. There are sets to this. There are structures. The bomba in Puerto Rico has danza and other elements that they took, that the Moors and other Europeans brought. The Dominican perico, P.E.A.C.E, has German accordion. The cultures of original people are filled with syncretism of all that they saw, including the Black American. And during hip hop, it becomes most significant, and it is a pity that it gets thrown away, the syncretism that was done, because it is of a unity and a blend with Black and Brown, a full original diaspora that is absolutely unique and should be one of uplift. But it is not uncommon. It is not a lone precedent. It is something that has happened. Right? Just like the idiocy to say, oh, the Cubans haven't done anything. The whole song structure of son, the clave, the instruments they created, the timbales. No, this is ridiculous, the stuff I hear. I have to continue to talk to people that talk in our dialect. That's what I get. These are not 5% anymore. They talk in our dialect, and so that they'd say they're scholars, though. Listen, you stared at the page of 120 long enough and you memorized it. You're not a scholar. You stared at it, though, and said, who's the original man? The original man says he's a black man making all the crib plan for his father. Father civilization and God of the universe. And you're able to quote. And I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. And I'm telling you now, I'm not dealing with the babyification of this nation. We might as well just be a damn gang, though, if we're going to just be that stupid. This has to be addressed. We're older now. We're older. Many of us, 30s and 40s. Where is the stuff that we have to continue to be babyish and not have analytical thinking based on reading? And the ones that were reading, though, will tell me this. The ones that were reading, because they only cared to read one thing. They read history books, they read anthropology, but they only cared and sifted for one jewel. Who is first? First one to step in a room. First one to take a shit. First one to walk here. First one to step there. First one to have sex with that. Right? First. That's all I care about. No scholarship. No story timeline. No usefulness for the youth because they won't know how something developed. How it developed. How did it change? There's no story in the history. I can't tell you how important this is. Yo, that's Peace King. It's just very, very important, you know? Like people think, that when I said I was going to be a music historian, a music writer, that just play around with music. I like it. That's hot. That's cool. I just use temperature words. Hot, cold. You know, it's chill, right? Oh, that's fire. That's how we write. That's how I write. You know, that's how the Source magazine wrote. That's how Double XL wanted you to write. And that's why I don't write with them. I don't write temperature reviews. I'm not a thermometer. And then the people that write more long-winded about stuff got to be people that are European mindset, weak mindset, not in the culture mindset, like Pitchfork. And so we don't have educated people with music. And I'm saying it's important. Let me tell you why it's important. We don't have many things that we have excelled at dramatically. And you're going to be this. And if you say that this is our music, this is ours, where is the deeper education? If this is something that shows our excellence and depth of intelligentsia and possibilities to extend to all other fields as it needs to be, then where is the profound passing on of musical intelligence to the next child? People want to, well, we made up this, we made up that. You couldn't tell me a jazz funk song from a cool jazz song. You couldn't tell the difference between cool jazz and modal jazz or hard bop and bebop if I played you it. You wouldn't be able to do it. Where's the history? You couldn't debate to me how my man Frank Sinatra really is jazz. Or give me weak arguments. I always hear like the standard arguments that people give, like Ella Fitzgerald didn't sing with the soul and blues like the way Billy did. It's simplistic analysis like that to dismiss Ella, right? I love them both. I get to hear babyish arguments about people that they decided to have fun with hip hop too. So, yeah, you dance too. If you did, you'd know. You'd know. I got people want to dismiss boarding the mathematics though because it's too hard. We keep making excuses. We're not good teachers. You think the student doesn't need to know how to combine these 10 principles in supreme mathematics? Let's give the student an exercise, a wonderful, easy exercise to have a unique combination every single day for at least 20 days in the month when the numbers are doubled, when they're 2 digits, the date, and be able to couple and unite principles in supreme mathematics. What a wonderful exercise. No, let's throw that out because it's too hard to teach. I'm not going to teach people refinement though because they get it confused. This was something I said. And then I realized one day that I am teaching refinement as focus and that it is necessary because people that I build with don't know what power is. Power is the truth. Power, knowledge is the truth. Knowledge is the truth. Who is the original man? If I give you the answer, that's knowledge. That's the truth. And it lets people to think that the way that they enforce what they see to be the truth, right? Meaning through their power, they think that that is justified because they say power is the truth. So they what? Outright overpower the world, misuse their power in the world, all in the guise of power is the truth. Please stop. I will not allow people to babyfy this knowledge anymore. And it babyfied this stuff so much. It simplified, it made it simpleton so much that we have a bunch of racists hustling for their reparations now, siding with a race baiter, siding who has not only calls himself the race baiter, right? Owns the patent, not the patent, excuse me, the trademark to foundational Black American. Makes money when you use it. And another dumbbell who forgot how to make good music and knows that the only hustle is to say that the earth is flat because it's controversial. Right? Tells you to use the eye test to see. If we have him here, he can't tell me he wants to use the eye test. Why don't he use the eye test for a woman and only deal with women on how they look down the block? I don't even use my eyes to trust whether a woman's beautiful down the block. But he looks up though and he tells me, look, the sun is too close to us. The earth has got to be flat. We keep falling for simpleton arguments. We do no research. We don't want to admit though, every time when I read books that I go, this is very hard for me. I read other books that this is just a lot of information and it is difficult, but I can get it. But there's always books that I read and say, this is too hard for me. And I have to work my way to this book back again. We are not challenging ourselves. We are poorly read. We are poorly studied. And it is making us dilute and tamper with the depth of this knowledge in order to say the one thing that makes us feel good. I am God. And no, it's not I am God. Responsible for all of the earth. It is I am God. I am superior to you. If that's the knowledge you get the hell out of here. Because that's not what is taught here. I'm sick of it. And Chad, you're right. If we use the horizon test, but that one's no good. Somehow that's no good, Chad, right? They got videos, people flip-flopping, But I went over an hour. Usually I would stay here until 8, so I'm going to give myself, what, King? I love the way you wrote that. It's not that I am God, which is true, right? When you say that, it is that we are God. We are responsible for all this. That disgusting ass mountain rat that I saw in P.E.A.C.E today. It was bigger than a cat. It was gigantic. It was gigantic. We are responsible. We caused this reality. All while the devil is doing devilishment, and we don't speak to any of that. I got you, King. A lot of clown stuff. A lot of clown stuff. You know? God, it was that huge, man. I'm gonna say that it was as big as my torso here. Like, yo, I just, I just saw it running, and I said, wherever it's going, you make a journey. I'm going straight, going straight. You know, it's a lot of great things. The thing is that it's syncretism, and when you get rid of syncretism, how you get rid of the Black American genius. You don't see how the Black American genius understood, not just understood the European song structure of classical music, the polyrhythmic nature that the Latin, the brown, kept alive and nurtured and developed anew. But we also get rid of how the Black American was able to actually bring that together, because that is a creation. That's how jazz is created. By doing this first only stuff, you actually get credit for who's first. Yes. But you throw away all the creators that were there the second day that created things that the first did not do. You lose the story. You lose the bits of genius that happened, the joy of the interaction of genius together, making things together. You lose everything. And it's being lost. It's being lost. And it's disgusting. And it's because people got weak. It really is. People got weak. I'm going to let it go there. My voice, as you see, as we going along, it's getting worse and worse. And I say thank you for doing the knowledge. You know what I mean? Absolutely, King. I'm going to say peace to everybody that was here. I'm going to let everybody go. Sunez97 is the Gmail. If you got my number, text me. We're Bill. I'm going to get back to everybody as soon as I can. All right? Peace.